Olivia stared at her phone, reading the message for the 5th time. "I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore." 7 words that collapsed her world. She pressed the call button again, straight to voicemail. Again. James had never done this before, never shut her out without explanation. 3 years together and suddenly, silence. Her apartment felt smaller than usual, the walls closing in with each passing minute. "He'll call," she whispered to herself. "He always does." But as evening turned to night, her phone remained silent. Sleep evaded her as questions swirled in her mind. What had changed? Just yesterday, they'd been laughing over dinner, making plans for a weekend getaway. The engagement ring she'd accidentally discovered in his drawer last week was supposed to be on her finger soon. Now, all those dreams were dissolving into the darkness. Morning arrived with cruel brightness. Olivia called in sick to work and drove to James's apartment, her heart pounding against her ribs. His car wasn't there. She tried his workplace next, the architectural firm where he'd been designing his way up the ladder for 5 years. The receptionist's sympathetic look told her everything before words were exchanged. "He called in for personal leave, Olivia. I thought you'd know." 3 days passed. Olivia cycled through denial, anger, and desperation. On the 4th day, she received a text. "I'm at the Blue Corner. 8 p.m. We should talk." The coffee shop was nearly empty when she arrived. James sat in the far corner, his usually bright eyes now hollow and distant. The man she'd fallen in love with, the one who quoted obscure poetry and laughed with his whole body, seemed like a stranger. "What happened?" Olivia asked, her voice barely steady. "What did I do?" James looked at her with an expression she'd never seen before, a mixture of hurt and resolution. "Your mother came to see me." Time seemed to freeze. "My mother? What are you talking about?" "Last Friday, she showed up at my office." He took a sip of his coffee, buying time. "She had quite a lot to say about us. About you." Olivia's mother, Victoria Palmer, had always been the perfectly poised socialite of Westbridge County. Her expectations for her only daughter were crystalline and inflexible. Olivia had spent years carefully balancing her relationship with James, knowing her mother disapproved of his modest background. "What exactly did she say?" Olivia asked, though dread was already pooling in her stomach. "She brought medical records, Olivia. About your condition." His voice caught. "The hereditary heart problem you never mentioned. The one that means you can't have children safely." The coffee shop's ambient music seemed to grow louder in the silence that followed. Olivia's hands began to tremble. "There is no heart condition, James." "None?" His expression hardened. "She had papers from your doctor, letters about your treatment options." "They're fake. Whatever she showed you is a lie." Olivia reached for his hand, but he pulled away. "James, I had a physical 3 months ago. I'm perfectly healthy." Doubt flickered in his eyes, but something else remained, a wall she couldn't break through. "That's not all she said." He looked down at his untouched pastry. "She told me about the relationship you've been having with someone at your office. She had photos, messages." The room tilted around Olivia. This wasn't happening, couldn't be happening. "That's insane. There's no one else. There's never been anyone else." But she could see it in his face. The damage was done. Whatever trust they'd built had been expertly dismantled. And her mother had been the architect. "I need time to think," James finally said, standing. "I don't know what's true anymore." As he walked away, Olivia remained frozen in place, the realization dawning with terrifying clarity. Her mother had deliberately destroyed her relationship. But why? The drive to her mother's sprawling Tudor-style home took 30 minutes, but to Olivia it felt like seconds. Fury propelled her forward, narrowing her vision to a single purpose. Victoria's silver Mercedes sat in the circular driveway, gleaming under the afternoon sun like a taunt. Olivia didn't bother knocking. The spare key she rarely used slid into the lock, and she pushed the heavy door open with more force than necessary. Classical music drifted from the sunroom, Chopin, her mother's favourite for Sunday afternoons. Victoria sat in her favourite armchair, reading glasses perched on her nose, a financial magazine open on her lap. She looked up, surprise briefly crossing her features before settling into her usual composed smile. "Olivia, darling, what an unexpected pleasure." "Why did you do it?" Olivia's voice trembled despite her efforts to control it. "Why would you lie to James about me having a heart condition? About me cheating?" The smile remained fixed on Victoria's face, but something cold entered her eyes. She carefully removed her reading glasses, folding them with deliberate precision. "I have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't." Olivia stepped closer. "James told me everything. The medical records, the photos, all fake. He's pulling away from me because of your lies." Victoria sighed, placing her magazine on the side table. "Sit down, Olivia. You're being dramatic." "I'm not sitting down. I want answers." "Fine." Victoria's posture straightened, her chin lifting slightly, the stance she took when preparing for battle. "That boy was never going to make you happy. He has no connections, no real prospects. The tiny apartment you share with him, the life you've settled for, it's beneath you." "It's not beneath me. It's what I chose. What I want." "You don't know what you want." Victoria stood, her expression softening to something almost pitying. "I've watched you make compromises for him for 3 years. Your career stagnating because you won't relocate. Holidays spent with his unremarkable family instead of networking with people who could actually advance your future." Olivia shook her head in disbelief. "So you decided to destroy it all? To make him think I'm dying and unfaithful?" "I decided to save you from wasting your life." Victoria moved to the wet bar and poured herself a glass of water, her movements unhurried. "The Richardson boy has been asking about you. His father's firm is expanding to London. That's the kind of opportunity you deserve." "I don't want Daniel Richardson. I've never wanted Daniel Richardson." "You wanted that dollhouse with the pink roof when you were 7 too. Children don't always know what's best for them." Victoria took a sip of water. "Neither do adults sometimes." The casual cruelty of it struck Olivia like a physical blow. 30 years of life, and she'd never truly seen her mother until this moment. The woman before her wasn't misguided or overprotective. She was calculating, willing to destroy her daughter's happiness for her own vision of success. "I'm not a chess piece for you to move around," Olivia said quietly. "No, you're my daughter, my only child, and I won't watch you throw away your potential on someone who will hold you back." "James doesn't hold me back. He supports me in everything." Victoria's laugh was soft and condescending. "Supports you? With what? His modest architect's salary? His familial connections to absolutely no one important? Please, Olivia." "There's a reason Dad left, you know." The words escaped before Olivia could stop them, sharp and venomous. "It wasn't just the affair. It was this, the way you try to control everything and everyone." Victoria's face hardened, the mask of maternal concern dropping completely. "Your father left because he was weak. He couldn't handle the life we built together, just like James won't be able to handle the life you deserve. The life I deserve is one I choose for myself. And yet here you are," Victoria gestured around the ornate room, "running to Mother the moment something goes wrong. Deep down, you know I'm right. James isn't enough for you." Olivia stepped back, suddenly seeing the pattern that had defined her entire life. The subtle manipulations, the gentle redirections, all designed to keep her on her mother's chosen path. "I need you to fix this," Olivia said, her voice finding new strength. "Call James. Tell him the truth." Victoria's smile returned, practiced, and perfect. "I don't think I will. In time, you'll thank me. The right doors are already opening for you." "What does that mean?" A chill ran down Olivia's spine. "It means I've taken care of everything, as I always do." Victoria turned away, conversation clearly over in her mind. "Now, I have the charity gala committee coming in an hour. We can discuss this another time." when you're thinking more clearly." Olivia stood frozen, understanding washing over her like ice water. This wasn't just about James. This was about control. A control Victoria had no intention of relinquishing, and somewhere across town, James was slipping further away, believing her mother's carefully crafted lies. Olivia left her mother's house in a daze, the elegant front door closing behind her with a decisive click. The afternoon sun had disappeared behind gathering storm clouds. Fitting, she thought bitterly. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, a text from her boss asking about a client presentation due Monday. The ordinary reminder of her regular life felt surreal after what she'd just learned. She sat in her car but didn't start the engine. Instead, she pulled out her phone and called the one person who might understand. "Dad?" Her voice cracked slightly. "I need to talk to you." An hour later, she sat across from Robert Palmer in a quiet corner of Whitfield's Diner, a place they'd frequented during her childhood. Her father had aged since she'd last seen him 6 months ago, more grey at his temples, deeper lines around his eyes. The divorce from Victoria had taken its toll, even 8 years later. "She always had to orchestrate everything," Robert said after Olivia recounted her confrontation with Victoria. "Your schools, your friends, our social calendar. I thought it was just ambition at first, a desire for the best. It took me 20 years to realise it was about control." "Why did you never say anything?" Olivia stirred her untouched coffee. Robert's eyes filled with regret. "I tried in my way, but your mother, she's persuasive. By the time I recognised what was happening, you adored her. I didn't want to come between you." "So you just left." "I left her," he corrected gently. "I never meant to leave you. But Victoria made sure custody went her way. By then, you were already in college, already moulded in many ways." A sharp pang of resentment flared in Olivia's chest, not just for her mother, but for her father too. Both had failed her in different ways. "I need to fix things with James," she said, pushing personal recriminations aside, "but he won't answer my calls. And even if he did, how do I explain this? Sorry, my mother fabricated medical records and fake evidence that I was cheating." Robert reached across the table, covering her hand with his. "The truth. Always start with the truth. The truth might not be enough this time. Then you fight. If he's worth it, you fight." After saying goodbye to her father, Olivia drove to James's best friend Michael's apartment. If anyone knew where James had gone, it would be Michael. The rain had started, pattering against her windshield in a steady rhythm. Michael answered the door with obvious hesitation. "He doesn't want to see you, Liv." "I know, but he needs to hear the truth." Something in her expression must have conveyed her desperation, because Michael sighed and stepped aside. "He's staying at his sister's place in Newbury. That's all I can tell you." The drive to Newbury took nearly 2 hours in the worsening storm. Night had fallen completely by the time Olivia pulled up to the modest suburban home belonging to James's sister, Kate. Lights glowed warmly from within, contrasting with the cold rain soaking through Olivia's clothes as she approached the door. Kate answered, surprise giving way to wariness. "Olivia, this isn't a good time. Please, Kate, 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking." Kate hesitated, then stepped back. "He's in the guest room. Last door on the right." James sat on the edge of the bed, looking through photos on his camera, his hobby since college. He looked up when Olivia entered, his expression unreadable. "Your mother called me," he said before she could speak. The words hung in the air between them. Olivia's heart sank. What did she say? That I should talk to you, that there had been a misunderstanding. His jaw tightened. She sounded different, almost apologetic. Olivia stared at him in disbelief. Victoria Palmer didn't apologize, not ever. "When was this?" "About an hour ago." Hope flickered tentatively in Olivia's chest. "And you believed her?" "I don't know what to believe anymore." James placed his camera down carefully. "But I know you. 3 years, Liv? That should count for something. It counts for everything." She moved closer, still not daring to sit beside him. My mother lied, James. About the heart condition, about me cheating, all of it. She wants me with someone she considers suitable, someone who fits her vision of success. I figured that much out, James said quietly. What I don't understand is why she suddenly changed her approach. Before Olivia could respond, her phone buzzed, a text from her father. I called Victoria. We had a long talk. Some things needed to be said after 8 years. I think she heard me this time. Understanding dawned slowly. Her father had finally stood up to Victoria, on Olivia's behalf. My dad, she explained, showing James the message. He finally decided to fight back. James was silent for a long moment. Even if the medical records were fake, the photos, fabricated, probably manipulated. You know I'd never cheat on you, James. I want to believe that. His voice was strained. I really do. Then believe it. Believe me. Olivia finally sat beside him, close enough to feel his warmth but not touching. Or we let her win. We let her destroy something real because of her need to control everything around her. The rain continued to drum against the window, filling the silence between them. Finally, James reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box, the one she'd glimpsed in his drawer a week earlier. I was going to give you this next weekend, at the lake house. He opened it, revealing a simple solitaire diamond on a platinum band. Nothing flashy. Probably not what your mother would consider worthy. It's perfect, Olivia whispered, tears blurring her vision. I don't know if we can just pick up where we left off, James said honestly. Trust is complicated. I know, but we can start again, slowly. Olivia took a deep breath. And I think it's time I put some distance between myself and my mother. James nodded, closing the ring box and returning it to his pocket. A promise deferred but not broken. How about we start with dinner? Kate's making lasagna. It wasn't a solution. It wasn't even a guarantee. But as James cautiously took her hand, Olivia felt something her mother had never understood. Real love wasn't about control or social standing or carefully orchestrated futures. It was about choice. Choosing someone every day through doubts and misunderstandings and even the deliberate sabotage of others. They had a long road ahead. Trust to rebuild, boundaries to establish. But for the first time since receiving that devastating text message, Olivia allowed herself to hope. Her mother had tried to cast a shadow between them, but shadows, after all, couldn't exist without light.
Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more interesting content coming soon.